air, and the second is through the bones. So, through the air carries sound vibration, correct? But that is not the only way the sound vibration goes inside. So, the sound vibration also, because there are these bones, right? So, within the ear, there are small bones. So, the conduction of sound is also through those bones. So, that is why, even if you may block the air going inside, it does not mean that the sound vibration will not go. So, to some degree, it may be blocked, but it is not that so the external sound vibration, it can still go inside, even though the airflow may be blocked. So, therefore, they are understanding that by blocking the airflow, conduction of sound is hampered, is wrong. So, therefore, if one can hear better by blocking the airflow and blocking unnecessary sounds, then that's good. You got the point? So, that's scientific explanation. So, they're an illusion. So, if I'm able to hear better, then that's good. Ultimately, what is the purpose? Ultimate purpose is hearing. So, therefore, if I'm able to hear better by blocking the airflow and unnecessary sounds, then it's good. ठीक है? हाँ आपको बोलिए.
So you are saying that you give respect to every living entity, means with the non-living, means trees, everything. So how practical we apply in our life? Because today's topic also controlling the mind. So how we practical apply this our life?
So how we practically apply, we were giving some hints yesterday also. So just like Mrigari was even giving respect to ants, correct? Mrigari was giving respect even to ants. So that means not harming any living entity unnecessarily. That is the principle. Not harming any living entity unnecessarily. So Srila Prabhupada, he didn't even want the mosquito to be killed. You know that past name, Harishwar Prabhu. Only when the mosquito sat on Prabhupada's hand, then Prabhupada said, now you can kill. He has become aggressor. So the principle is not causing harm to any living entity unnecessarily. That is the principle. So if that is the case with the lower forms, then what to speak of the higher forms? And as we read yesterday, Lord Rishabhdev was talking about the whole gradation of living entities. Then what to speak of those who are on a higher level of consciousness, like the Brahmanas and then the Vaishnavas. So if one is ready to give respect even to a small ant, then how much more respect should be given to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas? So we respect everyone, but we don't associate with everyone. You know the difference between the two? We respect everyone. That means we respect them as Vaishnavas, we don't criticize them unnecessarily, we don't blaspheme them, we don't harm them. So in that sense we respect. Just like we gave example yesterday also. We respect the tiger. How? Yes, by keeping safe distance. That is how we respect the tiger. Of course, in 10th Canto Purport, Prabhupada talks about Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, the sadhus of Vrindavan, they give prasad to the tigers. Prabhupada is writing. 10, 13, 60. So, any case, but that's how we give respect to the tiger. Or you can take an example of a dog. We can give respect to the dog by giving prasad to the dog. But we don't bring the dog into our homes. Right? That's contaminating. So we give respect to everyone, but how we give respect may vary. So as Srila Prabhupada is quoted from Vishwanath Thakur in 3rd canto, 29th chapter, I suppose this is text 5 or 6, one of the verses where the devotional service in Tamogun is mentioned. In the purport to that verse, Srila Prabhupada says, so even amongst Vaishnavas, there could be Vaishnavas who are influenced by the lower modes and may exhibit those unnecessary qualities like violence and anger and pride and all those. Then with such Vaishnavas, we respect them, but we don't associate with them. That means we don't hear submissively from them. Okay? We don't take their advice submissively. So those things we don't do if we find that a Vaishnava is not having the desirable good qualities. So we give respect to everyone, but we associate with those who are spiritually advanced so that we get the benefit of that association. Clear? Yes, bro.
Like we were discussing that while hearing, mind goes here and there, we should bring it back. Like sometimes while hearing, if we just sit and hear, then mind goes to sleep, we go to sleep, and if we do something multitasking and hear, then like
we are awake.
Like, and that time also mind goes into other things. So how to balance?
Right. So okay, if we are feeling sleepy, then that does not mean that we do multitasking. If you're feeling sleepy, then we can stand and hear, or we can wash our face or do something by which we can avoid this. Or if you're feeling too sleepy, better to go to sleep and hear some other time. Of course, that's not possible in a Bhagavatam class. But the essential principle is, yes, one can avoid sleep by doing whatever is necessary to avoid sleep, but still making the effort to hear. See, usually when do we fall asleep, or when are we not able to hear, is when we're not even making an effort to hear. If we are making some effort to hear, that effort itself keeps us awake actually. When we don't put any effort, then the mind goes to sleep. But even in chanting, if we have noticed, when we are making that conscious effort to hear, unless one is very tired, if one is making a conscious effort to hear, then sleep is unlikely, because the struggle keeps one awake. But when there's no struggle, then peaceful. So therefore that struggle has to be there.
I just wanted to understand, Prabhupada is quoting this Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur at many places, beating the mind with the broomstick.
What does it mean? Yeah. As far as I have read and heard, I have not heard any direct meaning of these beating the mind with shoes and brooms. But then, of course, my interpretation of that, which is Shastric, is morning program and evening program, which Srila Prabhupada has given. Because that is basically what is beating the mind. Beating the mind means what? The mind is trying to go in the wrong direction. You beat it to bring it on the track. Right? Just like Srila Prabhupada also gives this example. So just like a child is trying to put his finger in the fire, what the father will do? The father will pull him from doing that, right? He will not allow the child to go on the wrong track. That is basically the beating. So the mind is also always trying to go on the wrong track. Then one has to beat the mind. Don't do this. So just like the child is trying to put the finger in the fire, then sometimes the father may chastise or beat. Don't do it. Correct? So same thing. The mind is trying to go in the wrong direction. The mind is trying to think of sense gratification. Then one has to chastise the mind. Don't do it. Come this way. That is beating. Because the mind is pramati, balavad, dridham. Dridham means stubborn, just like a child. Child is also very stubborn, correct? Prabhupada, of course, gave his own example. So, when the child is very stubborn, then sometimes one has to give a thappad to the child and pull him. Same thing with the mind. The mind has been stubborn since when? Time immemorial. Not easy. Not easy. So, therefore, how often one has to beat? Every day? Twice. Because since time immemorial, the mind has been left loose to go in the wrong direction. And essentially, again, as we just read the other purport from Bhagavad Gita, what is that practice? Hearing. And that is what Prabhupada has given. Morning and evening, what to do? Hear. That is what Srila Prabhupada has given. And that is the beating. The mind is trying to imagine so many things and do so many things, do so many wrong things. Then by hearing, then we are reminded, you are not the enjoyer, you are not the proprietor, you are not the boss, you are Das. Every day, that is the beating. Beating, here again and again. This is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong. You have to beat again and again. Then, tabhi to sudharega, kuch to sudharega. That is the beating. So the beating is essentially the hearing of the right instructions again and again. That's the beating. All right, anything else? Yes, from the mind. From inside means from the mind. That's correct. Main disturbance comes from the mind. That's true. Okay, now let's proceed. Back to Rishabdev. Okay, please read the next verse translation. 6th. Wherever the mic is, read.
Lord Rishabdev was the head of all kings and emperors within this universe. But assuming the dress and language of an avadut, he acted as if dull and materially bound. Consequently, no one could observe his divine opulence. He adopted this behavior just to teach yogis how to give up the body. Nonetheless, he maintained his original positions as plenary expansion of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, remaining always in that state. He gave up his pastimes as Lord Rishabdev. Within the material world, if following in the footsteps of Lord Rishabdev, one can give up his subtle body, there is no chance that one will accept a material body. Again.
Okay, so again, answering that question, where's Gopanand? Not here, huh? So, answering that question as to why Lord Rishabdev behaved in this strange manner as an avadut, again here he is mentioning that he acted, where's that? Yes, consequently no one could observe his divine opulence. He adopted this behavior just to teach yogis how to give up the body. So that point is being repeated. So the main reason why he behaved in this way is to set an example for the yogis, how the yogi should perform austerity, how the yogi should give up the body. So that is the purpose why he behaved in this way. Of course, he did it in a very extreme way, but then that's the example. And so I would just like to read Vishwanath Thakur's commentary to the last verse of the previous chapter, where he mentions this point a little more clearly. So just give me a second. Yes. So he says, this is the commentary to the last verse of the previous chapter. He says, Kevalya Pati means that he gave merging in Brahman to others out of his mercy. One should consider that these pastimes are a meditation for teaching yogis. So he writes it very clearly. So these pastimes, the later pastimes is an avadut, They are a meditation for teaching yogis. They are not to be imitated. So the principle has to be understood. The principle that he's teaching is how the yogi should perform austerities and not interact with the material world and focus on Brahman. So that is the principle that he's teaching. Of course, one can never imitate like him. That is very extreme. But that is the principle he wants to teach. So though Rishabh was the Supreme Lord, he developed prema. So the verse talks about how Lord Rishabhdev is exhibiting ecstatic symptoms. So though Rishabh was the Supreme Lord, he developed prema for Vasudev, the son of Vasudev, since Vasudev is the most worthy of worship among all the avatars. So that is why Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So there's a quote from the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam where Krishna himself is telling Uddhav that amongst all the avatars, Vasudeva is the supreme or the most prominent one. So the same point he's writing here. So though he was the Supreme Lord, he developed prema for Vasudev, the son of Vasudev, since Vasudev is the most worthy of worship among all the avatars. And for that he is quoting from the 1st canto, 9th chapter, 19th verse. O King, Lord Shiva, Narada, sage of the heavens, and Lord Kapila, whose directly the Lord know the most secret anubhavas of Krishna, though not his intentions. The concept of many supreme lords is rejected, and thus the word Atmani is used in reference to Vasudev. Okay, fine. So the point is that the reason why Lord Rishabhdev behaved in this way is to teach, yes, yogis. And the same point Shukdev Goswami is making over here also. He adopted this behavior just to teach the yogis how to give up the body. And unless he maintained his original position as a plenary expansion of Lord Vasudev. So he's an expansion of Lord Vasudev. So the Swamshas, Vishnu Tattva avatars. Remaining always in that state, that means meditating on Vasudev, he gave up his pastimes to Lord Rishabhdev in the material world. Prabhupada quotes Janma Karma Chame Divyam. So that is for devotees. So we don't have to become like these Ashtanga yogis. So for us, our perfection in giving up the body is what Krishna says. Yes, yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tyajidante kalevram tam tame. And before that? Antakale chamam eva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshaya. So as far as we are concerned as devotees, our goal is to meditate on Krishna as one is giving up the body. So therefore Prabhupada is quoting Janma Karma Chame Divyam. This is possible simply by keeping oneself an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. One must understand his constitutional position and the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord as well. Both have the same spiritual identity. Maintaining oneself as a servant of the Supreme Lord, one should avoid rebirth in this material world. If one keeps himself spiritually fit and thinks of himself as an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, that's the solution. Two things Prabhupada is writing. If one keeps himself spiritually fit, how to keep spiritually fit? By going to the gym, right? By spiritual sadhana. Spiritually fit by spiritual sadhana. Materially fit by material sadhana. Very simple. So if you want to be spiritually fit, then there has to be spiritual sadhana, spiritual practices. That's how we'll be spiritually fit. And then one can realize the fact that I am eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, and then he will be successful at the time he has to give up the material body. Next verse, 7. Read.
Actually, Lord Rishabhdev had no material body, but due to Yoga Maya, he considered his body material. And therefore, because he played like an ordinary human being, he gave up the mentality of identifying with it. Following this principle, he began to wander all over the world. While traveling, he came to the province of Karnat in South India and passed through Konka, Venka and Kutak. He had no plan to travel this way, but he arrived near Kutakachal and entered a forest there. He placed stones within his mouth and began to wander through the forest naked, with his hair disabled like a madman.
Right. So in the previous verse, so it was mentioned that he gave up the body, right? In the previous verse, it was mentioned that he acted as if dull and materially bound, consequently no one could observe. And yes, if following in the footsteps of Lord Rishabdev, one can give up his subtle body, there is no chance that one will accept a material body again. So in any case, in regards to Lord Rishabdev, what does desiring to give up his body mean? So he is not yet given up, but desiring, he is desiring to give up his body. So Vishwanath Thakur says, desiring to give up his body means that he desired to give up the manifestation of his body in this world. Because his body is what? Spiritual. His body is spiritual. So it's not like giving up the material body. There's nothing to give up. His body is already spiritual. But what he wanted to give up? The prakat form, the manifested form of that body in this world, that is what he wanted to give up. Yes. So then he's wandering through all these forests like a madman. Okay, read the next one, 8th.
While he was wandering about a wild forest, fire began. This fire was caused by the friction of bamboos, which were being blown by the wind. In that fire, the entire forest near Kutakachal and the body of Lord Rishabdev were burned to ashes.
Yes. So okay, I'm just reading Vishwanath Thakur's commentary to the previous verse, the 7th one. This verse describes how he gave up his body. Though he was the Lord, he gave up the characteristics of the Lord, Mukta Lingasya, or he had the characteristics of a liberated soul. I think so. Somewhere it came that by the influence of Yoga Maya, he didn't think that he was the Lord, correct? Where is that? Yes. Actually, Lord Rishabdev had no material body, but due to Yoga Maya, he considered his body material. And therefore, because he played like an ordinary human being, he gave it the mentality of identifying with it. So, he himself never thought that he is the Supreme Lord by the influence of Yoga Maya. He is thinking that he has a material body and he is giving up the identification with that material body. So that's what Vishnu Chakravarti is also saying. Though he was the Lord, he gave up the characteristics of the Lord. That is the meaning of Mukta Lingasya. Or he had the characteristics of a liberated soul. Liberated soul means ordinary jiva. So he never thought that he is the Supreme Lord. He thought that he was an ordinary soul, at most a liberated soul. Just as the yogis move their body by the influence of previous impressions after they are liberated, like a finished pot still moving on the potter's wheel, Rishabdev, making an appearance of identifying with the body, continued to exist by the impressions which are reflections of avidya, abhimana, bhasa, like the Jivan Muktas. So what he's saying is, so just like a Jivan Mukta, he's already liberated, but because he has some previous impressions, so therefore he continues to act like an ordinary human being because of the previous impressions. Again, switch off the fan, but still the fan continues to move. So he is liberated from the material influence, but still because of some previous impressions or because of the previous connections to the body, he may still continue to act for some time like an ordinary material person. So that's what he. So similarly, Rishabdev also, like a Jivan Mukta, he continued to exist by the impressions which are reflections of avidya, like the Jivan Muktas. Like he's giving the example of a pot. So the potter has finished making the pot, and to make the pot, there's the potter's wheel which rotates. So now he has finished making the pot, but still, because there is that momentum, right? The momentum of movement, the moment still goes on for some time, even though The potter has finished making the pot. That's the analogy he's giving. However, Rishabdev was actually different. He existed by the influence of Yogamaya, by the impressions of his desire to perform pastimes like an avadut. So he is not acting by the influence of material energy, he is acting by the influence of Yogamaya. And he had the desire to perform pastimes like an avadut, and by his own desire is performing these pastimes. It's not that he's forced to. And then he says, just as a small child puts anything that he receives in his mouth, Rishabdev had a stone in his mouth. So he was behaving like a small child putting stones in his mouth, and he was naked also like a child. Okay. So, and then in the 8th verse, what happened? So there was this forest fire, and he died. So, Prabhupada writes, such a forest fire can burn the external bodies of animals, but Lord Rishabdev was not burnt because he never had a material body, correct? He had only a spiritual body, so how can it be burnt? Although he apparently seemed so. So there's no question of burning his body, but then basically the body became unmanifest. It was not burnt like ordinary material body. It became unmanifest. Therefore, Prabhupada is writing, although he apparently seems so. Lord Rishabdev is the super soul of all living entities within the forest, and his soul is never burned by fire. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Adahayoyam, the soul is never burned by fire. But there was a great benediction for all the other animals in the forest. Due to Lord Rishabdev's presence, all the animals in the forest were also liberated from material engagement. So all the forest animals got great benefit by Lord Rishabdev's presence over there. Okay, next. 9th verse.
Shukdev Goswami continued speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. My dear king, the king of Konka, Venka and Kutaka, whose name was Arhat, heard of the activities of Rishabdev and, imitating Rishabdev's principles, introduced a new system of religion. Taking advantage of Kali Yuga, the age of sinful activity, King Arhat, being bewildered, gave up the Vedic principles, which are free from risk, and concocted a new system of religion opposed to the Vedas. That was the beginning of the Jain Dharma. Many other so-called religions followed this atheistic system.
Yes. So this King Arhat, he imitated Lord Rishabdev and he concocted this new system of religion. Prabhupada is comparing this to Poundrak. When Lord Sri Krishna was present on this planet, a person named Poundrak imitated the four-handed Narayana and declared himself the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He desired to compete with Krishna. Similarly, during the time of Lord Rishabdev, the king of Konka and Venka acted like a Paramahamsa and imitated Lord Rishabdev. He introduced a system of religion and took advantage of the fallen condition of the people in this age of Kali. Okay, no problem. So, Vishwanath Thakur makes this point very clear. He says the person called Arhat will be born in the future. So he was not there during Rishabdev's time, but he was born in Kali Yuga. Right? So that is what is being predicted. So here it's being predicted that in the future, in Kali Yuga, this person will be born. Yes, he heard of the activities of Rishabdev and imitated. Right. Taking advantage of Kali Yuga. No. Yes, this is all this is happening. This is Maharaj Nimi's son, Rishabdev. So I suppose so. Definitely must be one of. Huh? Okay, so you're saying Bharat Maharaj is what happened in Kali Yuga? इसके हिसाब से मतलब हाँ करेक्ट या दिस इज ऑल previously. So Vishnu Thakur further says, hearing of Rishabdev through local scriptures, this Arhat, hearing of Rishabdev through local scriptures, he thought he would also become similar by imitating Rishabdev's activities. He learned about his activities in detail, Upashikshya. So he learned about them in detail. And when adharma would increase in Kali Yuga because of what would inevitably happen as a result of bad karma, Arhat became bewildered. And so he introduced this. Okay, next.
People who are lowest among men and bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord will give up the original Varnashrama Dharma and its rules and regulations. They will abandon bathing 3 times daily and worshipping the Lord. Abandoning cleanliness and neglecting the Supreme Lord, they will accept nonsensical principles. Not regularly bathing or washing their mouths regularly, they will always remain unclean and they will pluck out their hair. Following a concocted religion, they will flourish. During this age of Kali, people are more inclined to irreligious systems. Consequently, these people will naturally deride Vedic authority. The followers of Vedic authority, the Brahmanas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the devotees.
Yes, Prabhupada compares this to the hippies. Presently, the hippies in the Western countries fit this description. Of course, now the hippie culture is everywhere. The same thing. Irresponsible, unregulated, do not bathe. And then Prabhupada says there are many hippie groups at the present moment, but they all originated from King Arhat, who imitated the activities of Lord Rishabdev, who was situated on the Paramahamsa stage. King Arhat did not care for the fact that although Lord Rishabdev acted like a madman, his stool and urine were none this aromatic. So much so that they nicely scented the countryside for miles around. The followers of King Arhat went under the name Jains, and they were later followed by many others, particularly by the hippies, who are more or less offshoots of Mayavad philosophy because they think themselves Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such people do not respect the real followers of Vedic principles, the ideal Brahmanas, nor the respect for Supreme Personality of God, Supreme Brahman. Due to the influence of this age of Kali, they are apt to concoct false religious systems. Next. Huh.
So
Yes, the concocted religion will flourish.
I was thinking like generally Jain people they are very rich. So
Yes, so in Kali Yuga all these things flourish. Adharma flourishes and then whatever. Okay, next. But
Low
of course
class-
that's not a rule, isn't it? Is it a rule that all Jains are materially well off? Achha. You speak to is speaking quite authoritatively. Oh really?
Adani is
So now you have become poor now after coming here.
Yasya
see.
ham anugraham.
Ah.
Low class people, due to their gross ignorance, introduce a system of religion that deviates from the Vedic principles. Following their own mental concoctions, they automatically fall down into the darkest regions of existence.
Next.
In this age of Kali, people are overwhelmed by the modes of passion and ignorance. Lord Rishabdev incarnated himself to deliver them from the clutches of Maya.
He incarnated himself to deliver them from the clutches of Maya. So the teachings are meant to deliver people from the clutches of Maya. So I'll just read Vishwanath Thakur's commentary on this. When Rishabdev appeared, the Gyanis of that time, were supposed to follow his example. He came to teach Jnana Yoga. Okay? He came to teach Jnana Yoga, which had been lost due to the influence of time. Or he came to teach the path of liberation to those overcome by Rajogun. People of Satya, Treta, and Dwapar Yugas could follow his teachings, but the people of Kali Yuga should only hear about him. So that's interesting. He says the previous Yuga people, they can follow his teachings, but Kali Yuga, no question. ठीक है, next.
Learned scholars chant about the transcendental qualities of Lord Vrishabdev in this way. Oh, this earthly planet contains 7 seas and many islands and lands, of which Bharatvarsh is considered the most pious. People of Bharatvarsh are accustomed to glorifying the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his incarnations as Lord Vrishabdev and others. All these activities are very auspicious for the welfare of humanity.
Okay, so these last few verses are some glorifications of Lord Rishabdev. So here they're talking about how people in Bharatvarsh, they glorify the activity of Supreme Lord. Prabhupada is talking about Bharat Bhumiti Hoila Manushya Janmayar. This is the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The word Adi Punyam indicates that there are certainly many other pious men throughout the world, but the people of Bharatvarsh are even more pious. Therefore, they are fit to spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world for the benefit of all human society. Prabhupada is telling all of you are fit to spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Then he's quoting Madhvacharya. Visheshat Bharate Punyam. Throughout the world, there is no question of Bhagavad Bhakti or devotional service, but the people of Bharatvarsh can easily understand the devotional service of the Lord. Thus, every inhabitant of Bharatvarsh can perfect his life by discharging Bhagavad Bhakti and then preaching this cult throughout the world for the benefit of everyone. 14.
Oh, what shall I say of the dynasty of Prevrat, which is pure and very much celebrated. In that dynasty, the Supreme Person, the original personality of Godhead, descended as an incarnation and executed religious principles that could free one from the results of fruitive activity.
Okay, so there are many dynasties Prabhupada is writing. But Lord Rishabdev appeared in the dynasty of King Priyavrat. All these dynasties are very famous, and of them the dynasty of Priyavrat is most famous. Next.
Who is that mystic yogi who can follow the examples of Lord Rishabdev even with his mind? Lord Rishabdev rejected all kinds of yogic perfection, which other yogis hanker to attain. Who is that yogi who can compare to Lord Rishabdev?
Okay, who is that yogi? No yogi. Okay, go ahead.
Sukadeva Goswami continued. Lord Rishabdev is the master of all the Vedic knowledge, human beings, demigods, cows and brahmanas. I have already explained his pure transcendental activities, which will vanquish the sinful activities of all the living entities. This narration of Lord Rishabdev's pastimes is the reservoir of all the auspicious things. Whoever attentively hears or speaks of them, following in the footsteps of the Acharyas, will certainly attain unalloyed devotional service at the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay, Falashruti. Whoever attentively hears or speaks, following in the footsteps of the Acharyas, then one will attain what? Eka Antatha Bhakti. Eka Antata Bhakti, unflinching devotional service. So Prabhupada writes, the teachings of Lord Rishabdev are for people of all yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and especially Kali. These instructions are so powerful. So the instructions are meant for everyone at all times. These instructions are so powerful that even in this age of Kali, one can attain perfection simply by explaining the instructions, following in the footsteps of the Acharyas, or listening to the instructions with great attention. If one does so, one can attain the platform of pure devotional service to Lord Vasudeva. The pastimes of the Supreme Personality of God and His devotees are recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam, so that those who recite these pastimes and listen to them will become purified. Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya. As a matter of principle, devotees should read, speak, and hear Srimad Bhagavatam persistently 24 hours daily, if possible. If possible. If possible, read, speak, hear Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the recommendation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kirtaniya Sada Hari. One should either chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra or read Srimad Bhagavatam and thereby try to understand the characteristics and instructions of the Supreme Lord, who appeared as Lord Rishabdev, Lord Kapila, and Lord Krishna. In this way, one can become fully aware of the transcendental nature of the Supreme Personality of God, as in Bhagavad Gita, one who knows the transcendental nature of Lord's Buddha. Okay. 17.
Devotees always bathe themselves in devotional service in order to be relieved from the various tribulations of material existence. By doing this, the devotees enjoy supreme bliss, and liberation personified comes to serve them. Nonetheless, they do not accept that service, even if it is offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. For the devotees, liberation, mukti, is very unimportant because, having attained the Lord's transcendental loving service, they have attained everything desirable and have transcended all material.
Okay, so the devotees who get bhakti, then they're not interested in anything material, including mukti. Prabhupada is quoting from Bhagavad Gita 6.22. Yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tataha. Gaining this one thing, there's no greater gain. And then is quoting from Bilmangal Thakur, Mukti Mukulitanjali Sevate Asman. For devotee, mukti is not a very great achievement. Mukti means being situated in one's constitutional position. The constitutional position of every living entity is that of the Lord's servant. Therefore, when living entity is engaged in the Lord's loving service, he has already attained mukti. Consequently, a devotee does not aspire for mukti, even if it is offered by the Supreme Lord Himself. Okay, so this mukti refers to impersonal liberation. So, impersonal liberation, that a devotee never aspires for. Okay, 18. Right, so the Lord can even give mukti, but He does not give direct service. So what does this refer to? So what does it mean that He's ready to give mukti, but He does not give the opportunity to render direct service? So as we understand from the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, so that's at what stage? Bhava. The characteristic of Bhava Bhakti is? Characteristics of Bhava Bhakti. Yes, Sudurlabha. Bhava Bhakti is Sudurlabha. And there Srila Prabhupada explains why it is Sudurlabha. Because Krishna agrees to become servant of such a devotee. So it's not something cheap. So there also Prabhupada explains the same points, that yes, Krishna is ready to give mukti, but He rarely gives bhava bhakti. And then what to speak of prema. So therefore bhava bhakti, prema bhakti are very rare. So that is what, so He is ready to give mukti, but bhava bhakti and prema bhakti, very rare. That is the meaning of opportunity to render direct service unto Him. Because at that stage one has direct realization of the Supreme Lord, and prema level one is even enters into the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Purport. While instructing Maharaj Parikshit, Shukdev Goswami thought it wise to encourage the king, because the king might be thinking of the glorious position of various royal dynasties. Right? So Parikshit Maharaj must be thinking, oh, this Privrat dynasty, they are so fortunate, the Lord is appearing in their dynasty. But Lord never appeared in the Kuru dynasty, correct? Did He appear in the Kuru dynasty? No, he never appeared. So Parikshit Maharaj might be thinking, oh, we are not so fortunate. So therefore, Shukdev Goswami is speaking this verse, that even though the Lord may have not appeared in the Kuru dynasty, but the Lord became a servant for you. So you are most fortunate. That is what Shukdev Goswami is trying to say. So Prabhupada is explaining, giving examples of various dynasties. In dynasty of Priyavrat, Lord Rishabdev appeared. Family of Uttanapad Maharaj, also glorious due to King Prithu's taking birth. Dynasty of Maharaj Raghu, Lord Ramachandra. As far as Yadu and Kuru dynasties are concerned, they existed simultaneously. But of the two, the Yadu dynasty was more glorious due to appearance of Lord Krishna. Maharaj Parikshit might have been thinking that Kuru dynasty was not as fortunate as others because Supreme Lord did not appear in that family. Neither as Krishna, Lord Ramchandra, Lord Rishabdev Maharaj. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj was encouraged by Shukdev Goswami in this particular verse. The Kuru dynasty may be considered more glorious due to the presence of devotees like the 5 Pandavas who rendered unalloyed devotional service. Although Lord Krishna did not appear in the Kuru dynasty, he was so obligated to the Pandavas' devotional service that he acted as a maintainer of the family and the spiritual master of the Pandavas. Although he took birth in the Yadu dynasty, Lord Krishna was more affectionate to the Pandavas. By his actions, Lord Krishna proved that he was more inclined to the Kuru dynasty than the Yadu dynasty. Indeed, Lord Krishna, indebted to the Pandavas' devotional service, sometimes acted as their messenger and he guided them through many dangerous situations. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit should not have been saddened because Lord Krishna did not appear in his family. The Supreme Personality of God is always inclined towards his pure devotees, and by his action it's clear that liberation is not very important for the devotees. Lord Krishna easily gives one liberation, but he does not so easily give one the facility to become a devotee. So this devotee means pure devotee, purified devotee on the platform of bhava and prema. That's not so easy. Muktim dadati karishit sma na bhakti yogam. Directly or indirectly, it is proved that bhakti yoga is the basis for the supreme relationship with the Supreme Lord. It is far superior to liberation. For a pure devotee of the Lord, mukti is automatically attained. And the last verse. Okay, let's recite. Nityanabhuta nijalabha nivritta trishna Shreyasi atadrachanaya chirasupta buddhe Lokasya karunaya bhayam atmalokam Akhyan namo bhagavate rishabhai tasmai.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Rishabdev, was fully aware of his true identity. Therefore, he was self-sufficient and he did not desire external gratification. There was no need for him to aspire for success, since he was complete in himself. Those who unnecessarily engage in bodily conception and create an atmosphere of materialism are always ignorant of their real self-interest. Out of his causeless mercy, Lord Rishabdev taught the self's real identity and the goal of life. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who appeared as Lord Rishabdev.
Purport.
This is the summary of this chapter, in which the activities of Lord Rishabdev are described. Being the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Lord Rishabdev is complete in himself. We living entities as a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord should follow the instruction of Lord Rishabdev and become self-sufficient. We should not create unnecessarily demand due to the bodily conception. When one is self-realized, he is fully satisfied due to being situated in his original spiritual position. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, this is the goal of all living entities. Even though one may be situated within this material world, he can become fully satisfied and devoid of hankering and lamentation, simply by following the instruction of the Lord, as set forth in the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. Satisfaction through self-realization is called Swarupananda. The conditioned soul, eternally sleeping in darkness, does not understand his self-interest. He simply tries to become happy by making material adjustments. But this is impossible. It is therefore said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Ate vidu swartha gatim vishnu. Due to gross ignorance, the conditioned soul does not know that his self-interest is to take shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. To try to become happy by adjusting the impossible. By his personal behavior and instructions, Lord Rishabdev enlightened the conditioned soul and showed him how to become self-sufficient in his spiritual identity.
Okay, so that's what Lord Rishabdev came to teach, how to become self-sufficient in his spiritual identity. And that's what one will realize by following Lord Rishabdev's instructions. Thus, in the Bhagavad purports of the 5th canto, 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled, The Activities of Lord Rishabdev. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So nobody took attendance this time. You took? Okay. अच्छा, you took. Okay. ठीक है, आज भी ले लो. अच्छा. Huh? Announcement. Okay, let me conclude first, then how many announcements you can make, you can make. Okay, so once again, I'm extremely grateful to all of you for kindly participating in these discussions on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Though it was a change of schedule and little odd schedule, odd timings, odd days, everything was odd about this unit. But of course, the Srimad Bhagavatam is never odd. The Srimad Bhagavatam is always glorious. So thank you all very much for kindly agreeing to come during these times and participate in these important discussions on the Srimad Bhagavatam with your great enthusiasm and wonderful participation. It always gives me great pleasure and enthusiasm to discuss the Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of wonderful, sincere sadhakas like all of you. Very rare actually, very rare. How many people in the world will agree to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam? So many hours every day. Very rare. So grateful to you for your wonderful association. And only in the association of devotees we can relish the Srimad Bhagavatam and learn and realize something from the Bhagavatam. So extremely thankful, grateful to all of you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa.
Hare Krishna. So, AC बंद करो ठंडा हो गया. So we are very grateful to Prabhuji for actually, as I was listening last 2 days, this chapter 5th Prabhuji covered. So I understood then actually that why Prabhuji was. I was thinking while talking to Prabhuji on phone that for one chapter why Prabhuji is so much. So Prabhuji said no, this chapter is important. So then Prabhuji personally adjusted so much of Bangalore's seva and very tight schedule, Prabhuji traveling to complete this unit properly. And yesterday also Prabhuji took extra 2 hours so that this chapter can be very peacefully covering all the crucial concepts can be covered very properly. So when I heard this chapter 5th, I understood that why Prabhuji took so much trouble for this one chapter. First day only I understood when Prabhuji said that Srila Prabhupada has given lecture on every single verse of this chapter. Then only I understood, felt the weight, but then the way Prabhuji explained so many crucial themes from the purports, then I understood. And we can see when the sadhus they speak, Mahan Mukhachyuto Vidatsa Karanayatam, that saffron dust particles from sadhu's mukh comes. Yeah, Prabhupada's purports also, and coming to us through Prabhuji is the amplifier. So Prabhuji was telling that line, safest position, that you do your service and unnecessarily don't criticize others. That line Prabhuji recited yesterday with everybody. And also, one more I forgot. So 2 times we can see Prabhuji's heart, how Prabhuji himself lives in this way, and how teaches by his own example. Like Bhagavatam classes, every meet I observe, Prabhuji attends Bhagavatam classes right from 8 o'clock till end, and attends so attentively that you can see whenever Prabhuji is here, every day that Bhagavatam class, or most of the times Bhagavatam class, Prabhuji will speak something to teach us that this is how you should also take Bhagavatam class so seriously and attend every day, beginning to end, hear, assimilate and relish and share with other devotees. And also how Prabhuji was sharing that this is the safest position of not doing offenses. Chitraketu Maharaj section that purport Prabhuji was showing. That Prabhuji's heart has the desire that these devotees be safe. They remain safe. And so many crucial themes Prabhuji touched. Loyalty to Srila Prabhupada's mission. And yesterday Aditya Ram was asking so many questions. So how humbly, who will ask such questions? Because everybody will judge. Wrong. I see devotee kya hai, material devotee kya hai. Anybody will judge. We all have our image concern. Prabhuji was humbly asking all these questions for everyone's benefit that we should thoroughly understand. And Prabhuji, also very kindly, Prabhuji, you can see how controlled is focused on his teaching, on his service. Even for little, Prabhuji was still telling, I'm a little bit digressing, but this is important to focus. Let us discuss this. So we have such a fortune to have association of Prabhuji. I was just feeling that Prabhuji so heartily from Srila Prabhupada's purports and letters, Prabhuji presenting these teachings so authentically. It's like mother's, milk for the baby. Aisa. So that way Prabhuji is presenting Srila Prabhupada's teachings in crux for all of us. And how Prabhuji said that also that, entire ISKCON, because spiritual focus we neglected somewhere a little bit and dwindled, everything dwindled. And to different degrees because we are all in ISKCON for 10-15 years now, so we have seen Prabhuji's point is correct. So we have such a fortune to have such a Vaishnava who is practicing himself for nearly 30 years, I believe, and traveling across the globe for 20 years and preaching Srila Prabhupada's purports and letters, Prabhupada's Vani, so authentically for everyone's real benefit. And the way Prabhuji presents, it gives us so much taste to actually now sit back with Srila Prabhupada's books and find out these pearls ourselves and align our life with these purports, these teachings of Srila Prabhupada. So this will please Srila Prabhupada the most. This is the safest and the strongest position for ISKCON when the devotees begin to, as Prabhuji is, his heart is that we begin doing what Prabhuji is teaching us, to relish Srila Prabhupada's purports and find the directions of our life, our every breath from Srila Prabhupada's statements. That is what Prabhuji wants to instill, this value system. Not only teach some subject, as Prabhuji was telling yesterday, that theory, this is peanuts, this clearing exam of this Bhakti Vaibhav and this, some classes and purports. This is peanuts, it's nothing. But how seriously you actually implement it in your life, actually, down ground, and bring that transformation in your dealings with devotees and in your services commitment to Srila Prabhupada. So we can see not only Prabhuji is just official teacher or the coordinator for this course, but actually Prabhuji has the heart. That's why he took so much trouble to travel from Bangalore, such tight schedule, to give this to all of us. So such Sangha of such intensely, sincerely, seriously inspiring, mature, selfless leaders, Vaishnava Sangha, is actually the greatest gift on this planet Earth. After 20 years of yatra of Nityananda Prabhu, he says to Madhavendra Puri that my 20 years of whole India Brahman Yatra, the fruit or the gift or the success or the actual part is now to get association of Srila Madhavendra Puri now. Correct? Madhavendra Puri only, na? No. Yeah. So that is our great fortune that we are getting association of Prabhuji. The safest, authentic association of Srila Prabhupada's purports. This way we are getting. So we cannot sufficiently thank. I was feeling that Prabhuji should come more frequently actually and take for this batch and for the Bhakti Shastri batch also such classes 2-3 days, maybe once in 2-3 months. If that can happen, how Srila Prabhupada's mercy. So we cannot thank enough. Srila Prabhupada says, we know the patram, we will be joker if we say we have repaid our debt to such sadhus, such Vaishnavas. So we just express our gratitude to Prabhuji for blessing by his own example of lifetime practice and by his teaching, his Vani, Srila Prabhupada's Vani. So we can express our gratitude from the heart by loudly chanting from the heart once Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna. तो एग्ज़ाम अभी 1 घंटे बाद करें। अच्छा ठीक है, कल कितने बजे करना है? कल शाम को 5 बजे तो प्रसाद खाने टाइम होता है। 3 बजे ठीक है प्रभु जी, 3 से 4 1 घंटे में हो जाएगा। 30 मार्क्स का ही होता है। सो 3 बजे कल शाम को रखते हैं, सारे बच्चे आ जाएंगे 3 बजे कल शाम को वंशी हॉल में रखेंगे, ठीक है? अच्छा आप तो कल सुबह जा रहे हैं ना प्रभु जी, संकीर्तन भक्त लोग तो संकीर्तन भक्त लोग आज शाम को या कल सुबह आप जब बोलेंगे आपके लिए हम अरेंज कर लेंगे, कोई बात नहीं। संकीर्तन भक्तों के लिए स्पेशल जब आप बोलेंगे, और बाकी बच्चों के लिए 3 बजे कल एक टाइम फिक्स। हरे कृष्ण, थैंक यू। चालू करो। नेक्स्ट टाइम की वॉलेंटियर प्रभु जी, इस बार हमारे प्रभु जी लोगों ने कौन कौन? जानदेव निताई प्रभु, पंचतत्व भक्त प्रभु, पंचतत्व कृपा प्रभु और जानदेव निताई प्रभु, तो दोनों भक्तों का हरि वो। तो अगली यूनिट हमारे प्रिय सुंदर है, सो थैंक यू। तो अगली बार हमारे प्रिय सुंदर चैतन्य प्रभु जी का ही है टीचिंग अप्रैल में। तो कौन भक्त लोग सेवा कर सकते हैं अगली बार? क्योंकि इस बार तो हेतु प्रभु फिर भी थे कुछ बैकअप के लिए, अगली बार वो नहीं रहेंगे, संकीर्तन पार्टी में रहेंगे। तो आप नहीं ऐसे थोड़ी नहीं बोलना चाहिए। तो आप भक्त कृपा करके बोलिए कि कौन अगली बार सेवाएं कर सकता है सेटअप। और गेस्ट के में ज़्यादा नहीं, क्योंकि अपने ही गेस्ट हैं, अपने डिवोटी हैं, मतलब अपने प्रभु जी हैं, तो वो कर ही रहे हैं। तो सेटअप का एक रहेगा मेजर, कौन भक्त लोग कर सकते हैं? जानदेव प्रभु और ओके कुर्मा कृपा प्रभु और राम, ठीक है। सो कुर्मा कृपा प्रभु एंड जानदेव प्रभु जी विल टेक केयर ऑफ सेटअप। एंड मनोरम गुरांग प्रभु जी काइंडली रिकॉर्डिंग तो कर ही रहे हैं अच्छे से, तो इनको भी थैंक यू प्रभु जी को। थैंक यू वेरी मच। प्रभुपाद की जय। इन 2 भक्तों के लिए भी धन्यवाद। हरि वो। कल शाम को 3 बजे एग्जाम है। हरे कृष्ण।